Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crockett Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq. I got the queen, Demetra K. And I am the 5-star general. It's been 1 year since George Perry Floyd was murdered from 38 Chicago and Minneapolis. Where have we come to? Has anything changed? We're going to talk about it tonight. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for taking the time out to tune in. Because you know, without you guys, we wouldn't have a show. I'm gonna start this off. You know, I had to fly today, so where am I? I'm back in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where it all went down last year. And this morning I had a long talk with a good friend of mine, and you know, every day I'm trying to be a better me. Every day, every single day, I'm trying to be a better me. And as I'm going through the airport, you know, some of these people don't have no patience, you know, when they handling us TSA, and some of these stewardesses on the plane and whatever. And I saw something that kind of disturbed me. Black lady getting handled pretty bad. And I started reflecting on me. I know some days I'm tough on everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman or whatever, but I tell you what, man, tonight I'm gonna do something that I normally do if I feel that I've been wrong about something. I'm not beyond apologize. So to every one of you women out there that listen to me, every one of y'all that have interacted with me in my personal life, I owe you an apology. Because, and I'm gonna tell you something, and they'll both tell you this is not scripted. We didn't even talk about this. This is just me. I owe you an apology. Because it's days that I shouldn't handle you the way that I handle you. It's just days that I shouldn't handle you the way that I handle you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on being a better me, especially with my sisters who seem to be getting a lot of flack nowadays. And some of y'all are just hardworking black women. And you know, I don't make it any easier on you with the things that I do and say some days. So for every one of you sisters out there, every one of you women, doesn't matter what color you are, if I've ever offended you, then I apologize. I sincerely apologize. That's just the way that my mama raised me. The dudes that I hung around, this is how we get on. And if we feel that we've done anything wrong, then, you know, you come back and you clean it up. So I want to send my sincerest apologies to y'all. But you dudes, y'all gonna keep getting the business. You gonna keep getting the business, man. But my sisters, I apologize. Donovan, what's going on, my friend?
Wow. Welcome to the War Zone. $2 Tuesdays, please, you guys. If you got some time, hit that Cash App button and let's get some the war chest built. Excuse me for a second. The cat keeps jumping on me. War chest built because campaigns do cost money. And like I said, we're asking you guys just to put in a minimum of $2 so that we could get our candidate who cares about our kids into the Houston Independent School District. And that's Jerry Wayne Monroe. Hey, you guys, as you guys know, today is the anniversary of George Floyd. We're going to be talking about it tonight. Very important stuff, because how many times have we told you guys that, you know, Black people, we just love symbolism. We just love it. And that's what we're getting, because ask yourself this. I just want you guys to use your intelligence and just ask yourself, how does another group could write, submit, and sign into law in under 100 days a bill that protects them, and yet Black people are being murdered and stuff all over the United States, not only in the streets, but in their homes, and we can't get a bill? Think about that. Demetra?
So hello, yes indeed. Welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the War Zone. Hope you guys are having a great week so far. And if you could do us a favor and share this live so everybody else gets the information and join in on the conversation, we would greatly appreciate it. So yes, tonight we are going to be talking about George Floyd. As you guys know, he was murdered a year ago today by Derek Chauvin, who was not too long ago found guilty of all charges, and he is waiting to be sentenced. But on that very day, Derek Chauvin held his knee to George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds with his hands in his pocket. And he also had the help of 3 other officers. And so they are waiting to be tried for the murder of George Floyd. And so since then, Karen Bass, who is a congresswoman, she sponsored a bill called the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, and she sponsored that bill, created, I guess you could say, on June 8th. Now, there's a couple of things in that bill that's supposed to, correlate with police officers not behaving a certain way with people, specifically Black people, right? So again, that bill was named after George Floyd. And some of those things in the bill is to lower the criminal intent standard. So basically, it lowers what police officers, the standard for what police officers can actually be tried on, because now I guess it's a pretty high standard, right? And so the other thing is it limits qualified immunity, which you guys know qualified immunity basically absolves police officers of murdering Black people. Of course, that came into play during the civil rights movement to, make officers not responsible for murdering people. Also, it bans chokeholds and carotid holds. You guys know that. And it limits no-knock warrants. And it also creates a misconduct registry. So basically, when police officers are in trouble or fired for misconduct, it goes into a national registry. So in case they're fired in one police department, then another one can, type up the name and say, oh, you're in this registry, right? And also it is supposed to fund better training, implicit bias and racial profiling to not do that, right? And so those are, I guess, the things that are in this bill. Now, we should also know that James Clyburn, I have labeled him James Clybuck, has said that he is willing to forego qualified immunity right now to get the bill passed. But we should also say that they wanted to pass this bill by today. But James Clyburn went on TV a week ago or so and said, well, you guys know we're not going to get it passed on the 25th, but we're going to aim for the 30th. Things happen. We just kind of set that, because of the, being caught up, and it was symbolic. But as Donovan said, they have passed an Asian bill almost overnight, they being the whole Congress, the House and the Senate. Now, this has passed through the House, but of course, the Senate is holding it up. And so we're going to discuss that tonight.
It's a year later. And the question is are we making progress? I was able to catch part of the press conference when I hit the runway in Minneapolis, and I heard one of the Floyd family members, kind of applaud Biden and said that we're making progress. Money make you say strange things, don't it, homie? Man, we ain't making no progress. If you understand the political game, these people go out there on bills and they act like they're really for them bills, knowing full well they don't have the support within their own parties to get these bills passed. They go out there and they make you believe that they're fighting for you. They're fighting for something. And the whole time they're not. It's inexcusable when we're a year later and you can't get this through national government. But as Donovan said, and Demetra said, you could push an Asian bill through like overnight. So my thing is to the Floyd young man that said what he said, say, you got your money now, homie. You ain't got to keep putting on the show. I'm just going to tell it like it is, and I don't care who get mad about it. We ain't making no progress, because if we were, Breonna Taylor wouldn't be dead. If we were, Ahmaud Arbery wouldn't be dead. If we were, Trayford Pellerin wouldn't be dead. And if we were making progress, Ronald Green would not be dead. Let's get it straight. These people are placating. They ain't doing nothing but talking. It's BS. And that's just where I'm at with it. They didn't try to get this bill passed. They didn't try to do anything with it. But they make you believe that that's what they're really doing. Donovan.
For me, it's just a frustrating situation when you see them pulling money out of the air, getting bills signed for this and making sure. Remember, we told you guys when Joe Biden talks about rebuilding the middle class, he's not talking to black people because most of us are not in the middle class. We are near the poverty level. 70% of black people live at, above, or below the poverty level. 70% of us. Now, here's the frustrating thing for me. If we don't get our shit together, do you guys realize in 9 years, our vote is irrelevant because of the Hispanics? We're going to be an irrelevant basic class. And then if we can't get the things that we need to get done right now within the next 9 years, anything that we have to say after 2030, they do not have to listen to anything we have to say. And that's what scares me about this. And yet you have the educated black fools that are out there ski-weeing and doing everything that they need to do. And notice, wait a minute, and notice this. These educated black folks, what's the first thing that they say when you go to them and say, hey, I thought, Biden was going to do this and Biden's going to do that. Oh, I'm not into politics no more. So you're part of the misleadership as well. But speaking of George Floyd, his sister, I didn't think she went up, one of his sisters, and please forgive me, I don't know the dynamics of his family, how many sisters and brothers, because like the 5-star says, and I'm not trying to be disparaging, sometimes when you come into a lot of money, family members come out of the woodwork, okay? Regardless of the circumstances or the situation. Somebody's dead, if they got an NFL contract or whatever, they go pro, whatever.
A whole bunch of them, some wood rats.
Right. But one of the sisters came out and said that she didn't go to Washington because the bill should have been done by now. And I'm gonna, say common sense, anybody with common sense would have known that. And this woman who says she's a sister of his said that, the symbolism of it, there's no excuse why this bill should not have been done. And again, we're seeing all the time how we are being murdered and killed. And yet an Asian gets knocked in the head, a bill overnight. We get murdered in our homes and they got to think about it. It's just sad.
Well, and I want to talk about too, all the people that I've seen celebrating today. I've seen people posting pictures or, May 25th. And I'm like, what are you in words celebrating? What are you celebrating? First of all, a man was lynched on this very day, and we still have no bill worth anything to show for it. They got on one knee. When I say they, Congress and, Maxine and all of them, they got on one knee. But at the time, it was 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and they wore their kente cloths on, and all of that. And they was talking and, walking, well, not walking, but talking a big game about all the stuff they're going to do. And here we are a year later with nothing to stop police officers from killing black people wholesale. In fact, since George was murdered, there's been a whole host of black people murdered by the police. And then we have all these Negroes, from celebrities to all the way down to just everyday people, posting a picture of George Floyd, and they're celebrating today. Like, what are you celebrating? And a lot of those people are the same people who voted Joe Biden. I know Joe Biden can't do anything yet. It has to go to him, and people are saying, oh, well, it's the Republicans. The Republicans are holding it up. Are they really? Are they really holding it up when the Democrats own and control all 3 sectors of government? So is that the lie they're going to tell? And then we get to watch James Clybuck get on TV and talk about how he, and he's willing to negotiate or leave off qualified immunity right now just to get something passed. And so what he's saying is, oh, just give those Negroes anything. This because they like symbolism. Give them anything. And then imagine if they do pass this bill without it. Do you think they're going to go back and revisit that? It's been since the 1800s. They've been trying to pass an anti-lynching bill. And do you really think they're going to pass this that holds police officers accountable for murdering Black people wholesale? Of course not.
I think we really need to break this down when you say they own all three fractions of government. So people can clearly understand what Demetri is saying is that the Democrats got all the votes to do whatever they want to do. If they want to pass the bill, they can pass the bill. If they want to give us reparations, they can give us reparations. Am I saying this right, Demetri? They own all three fractions of the government right now. And that's for, since they were voted in, that's for a 2-year period until the next election, the midterms, and then we'll see what happens then. But they can do what they want to do. So I'm trying to understand, why are we celebrating today? Why are we celebrating? Why? And can I just be honest? And I'm gonna work on my cussing thing, but I'm gonna be just as animated and as passionate. Why are we helping them pimp the memory of George Perry Floyd? Why are we allowing these people to pimp this man's memory for their own personal gains? For their own personal gains. The day you've never seen me with a George Floyd shirt on. One of my friends, KJ Jones, made this shirt, and I make shirts. I make a bunch of stuff, but I've never made a George Floyd shirt because I didn't want to gain off of his memory. I wasn't going to do that. But I bought a shirt today, and the very first time since it happened that I've ever put a shirt on with his name on. Because I got respect. And if you're out there and you're dancing in the streets, and it is what it is, you're sick. Tanaya, let me put your comment up, baby, because I know you're very intelligent. I'm going to say this real slow for you. They got all the votes. The reason they can't bring it up is because it's not gonna, the Republicans, if all of them voted no, it's what it is. But it's gonna expose some Democrats who don't want this bill passed, who don't want us to have reparations. And it's gonna shock some of y'all because it's gonna be some Black ones. Clyburn already showed you who he is. It's gonna be some other Black ones that you never saw it coming from. Donovan.
Yeah, tonight I saw that question and I read it, and like I said, you're a very intelligent lady, and I definitely love learning from you as much as you hear from us. But the Democrats can do away with the filibuster. They have the votes to do away with the filibuster. That is an internal rule, as to the minority party. If they wanted to get rid of that, they can do it right now, and it's just majority rules. So. And don't get me wrong, and please don't take this the wrong way. Why is it that within our own group, we have people that will make an excuse for white supremacy? I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but it's like, I just told you that they can do away with it. But you immediately said, oh, they can't do anything. It's 60, got to take 60 votes. We immediately go to what they tell us, what they can do and what they can't do. And it's not true. It is not true. They make up their own rules in the Senate. They want to get rid of it in this session, they can get rid of it. It might come back in the next session, depending on who's in power. So no, the Democrats, they can just say, no, we don't want to deal with that. It's just like the when they were voting for that one thing and they need the parliamentarian, that person's not elected. Kamala Harris could have said, thank you for your advice. We're rolling with what we're doing. That person doesn't have any power. They're just an advisory thing, but we just go with it. And then what do our Black representatives say? Well, we're trying to get something done, but we just don't have the votes. We don't have 60 votes. You don't need 60 votes. You do away with the filibuster, you majority rules, you put it on the table, it's passed, and you're done.
Yeah. So, really, to that point, we don't have a George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. We don't have it. We're not going to get it. They're going to have that bill is the carrot on the string for Negroes. That's all that is. It's the bill as just as effective as those damn Chucks and Pearls. It has the same power right now. Those people, the same people who helped Joe Biden get into office and, got him into office, even though he said he's not doing anything specifically for Black people, but he's done things specifically for everybody else. Got him in there, and James Clybuck is still like, well, we'll try to pass the bill when we just kind of said we was gonna pass it on that day, but because they know we ain't gonna do nothing. In fact, they're so secure in screwing over Black people, they know that we will go in on 2024 and vote for more Democrats. Overwhelmingly, Black people will vote for a Democratic Party. Now, I'm not telling you who to vote for, but because we vote overwhelmingly for the Democrats and we overwhelmingly get nothing for it, they know they don't have to do anything for Black people. Right now, they're like, look at those Negroes out there. They're celebrating, this day, the day that a man was lynched in the middle of the street. Look at them changing their profile pictures and they, doing this and they're doing that. And we didn't have to give them anything. In fact, we'll welcome the family to the White House and put on the proper circumstances, have the National Guard open the door for his little girl, and people will be like, oh, look at that. That's so, ooh. But we still don't have to give them anything tangible.
Demetra, before you go, who was the senator or the study that was done in the 70s? And it's the playbook. It's a Democratic playbook of how to address Black issues. And all you got to do is just, you don't say anything Black. You don't promise them nothing. You don't do anything. I forgot the study of it. This is the playbook that the Democrats use to this very day.
I can't think of it either. It'll come to me.
Well, I'm reading a comment from my good friend, Michelle Henderson. Why didn't the Trump administration give it to us? They had the votes too. You arguing. They wasn't supposed to give it to us. Let me ask you a question. Knowing me and how I fight, knowing how successful I've been fighting, how many of y'all gonna give me a pass if I get in office and don't do what I say I'm gonna do? None of y'all. You want it done from the day I get in there. So here's my question. Why ain't we holding everybody to that? Joe Biden lied about student loans. Joe Biden lied about the stimulus. Joe Biden lied about a lot of stuff. And we ain't saying nothing about it. We just letting him make it. And more importantly, he got the Negro politicians to come to your neighborhood and your churches and lie for him. So now it's like, we can't revert back to Trump. No, this is not Trump anymore. This is all Biden. Nobody's stopping them from doing anything. The only people that's stopping them is them. Because in all actuality, they don't want you out your chains. They don't want you to roam the countryside free. They want you on the plantation. And that's all they've ever wanted. Some of you people are watching this with your eyes wide open. And in 2022, you're going to go make the same mistakes again. So here's my question. You don't believe fat meat greasy. What Donovan told you in the beginning, well, we ain't going to have a voice. Keep thinking it's not going to happen. You keep playing this game. When they find somebody, which will be the Latinos, to take our spot on the voting level, you're irrelevant to them now. And if you think you're not getting nothing now, wait until you don't have a voice. You know what it's going to be like? You standing at the back door of Masa's house with your little bowl, getting ready to eat your pork bellies. Because you ain't finna eat no more steak. They're going to show you better than they can tell you. You need to open up your eyes, man. Stop worrying about Trump, man. Trump is gone. We talking about Biden. We talking about a certified Dixiecrat that we warned you about. And you still went out there and made the mistake. You know, my dad used to say, Donovan, boss sense is the best sense. Because sometimes you got to pay for what you learn.
Absolutely. And, you know, and here's another thing we got to think, as Curtis Chavez brought up a good point that I've been talking about on my podcast. The George Floyd bill, it's a good, it's a good bill if it keeps qualified immunity there. Okay. Because if you sue the police department, you're still suing the taxpayer. So that doesn't make sense not to hold that account of that individual officer. But somebody said that Biden has been in office for over 100 days, and he was repealing and had a pen in his hand, was repealing and, writing bills and anything he wanted to do for 100 and something days, right? What good is a George Floyd bill if the very bill, the 1994 crime bill that Joe Biden authored and wrote, I wrote every goddamn bill. That's his words. That's not mine. That's his words. That is the bill that incentivizes the police department to do what they do. Deontay in Minnesota, what did he tell his mom he was being pulled over for? An air freshener. And then from the air freshener, what did the policemen do? They ran him for warrants. And then it escalated, and then now he's dead. This is what the 1994 crime bill does. So if you don't repeal the 1994 crime bill, aren't you just chasing your tail like a dog or a cat, and you're going in a circle? Because you've done nothing to stop the police department from their culture of incentivizing them to arrest people for minor infractions to fill the private prison industrial complex. So why hasn't Biden or the congressional black talkers or the Democrats in the Senate and in the House repealed that bill? Think about this stuff. That's what I'm saying. This is a big thing, but you got to look at the big picture. If you don't repeal that 1994 crime bill, you've done nothing to change the police culture. And I think it would do more to change the police culture around the nation than a George Floyd bill. George Floyd bill is important, but that only makes if they keep the qualified immunity there, that only makes that officer accountable to the law that we're subjected to.
You also notice how they have turned this day, May 25th, which is probably one of the most brutal days in American history. They've turned it into a day of peaceful remembrance. Everybody's peaceful, and reflecting on, the year past and, hopeful that a bill will get passed. But how do we fall for that? How do we fall for that? And now we're just as meek and mild as a dove. But
what happened on this day in history? Well,
y'all know the story. A man was lynched in the middle of the street by 4 police officers. One like he was just something he did every day. Because lynching can be a whole lot of things, right? It could just be shot. But we're talking about a man, a whole human being. Well, I don't know if we want to call him a human being, but he put his body weight via his knee onto the neck of another man as that man cried and begged and screamed and called for his mama for almost 10 minutes with his hands behind his back, lying on his stomach. That was one of the most brutal things that we could have witnessed. Like, can you imagine if we were in slavery and we watched one of our fellow, slaves or our family members or whatever being lynched or hung? That's what that was like. So to us, and we thought the Rodney King incident was brutal. Well, they're both horrible, but to see that, and now it's almost like what they did to Malcolm X. Back in the day, Malcolm X, he was enemy number one. They hated Malcolm. They wouldn't even speak Malcolm's name unless they spoke about him in hate. Now, we're celebrating, and Hollywood, they're writing these movies and all of this other stuff about Malcolm X. And here we are, we're peaceful about a man who was lynched a year ago. Like, do you guys see how we fall for it? Have this narrative that it's okay now. Go about your life and put pictures up of George Floyd and all these murals all over the place. And after today, the wholesale murder of Black people will continue, and you guys ain't gonna do nothing.
I tell you what, man, it's disheartening to see our people act in such an ignorant fashion. It's disheartening to see our people fall for the games that these people play. We three up here, we scare the hell out of white America. You know why? Because we know what you're doing. You can't run that game on us. But some of y'all, you running that game on us. It is what it is, man. George Floyd could have been your son. He could have been your brother. He could have been your father. But y'all think it can never happen to you. That's why you're so comfortable. You think, somebody asked me, riding down the street, would you pull over right here if the cops got behind you? And I'm going down the street, ain't got no lights. Hell no. Matter of fact, if they did get behind me, I'm calling 911. Let them know I'm not evading arrest. I'm just not stopping until I get to a well-lit area. Why do we have to go through all that? We live in a country that is segregated to the fullest. And the reason that we can't seem to get it on track is because some of y'all believe that we're not in the middle of segregation. Some of y'all believe that just because you got that messed up FHA loan and now you live out there with them people, that you good. And you really don't realize that you don't know none of your neighbors. They don't speak to you. Nothing. Because they really don't want your black ass out there. So if y'all trying to come and talk to me about America, the police right now, I'm not trying to hear it. I don't trust y'all. Whether you're a black cop, a white cop, an Asian or Latino, you a cop. You a cop. And I can't trust what y'all represent. They the biggest gang in America, not the Crips and the Bloods.
And you know what's also disheartening? With everything that we are about to face coming up with this eviction moratorium that is right down the road. And, and don't take this the wrong way, people. Do what you want to do, live your life. But you still see us spending our money with other groups, money that some of us don't have to spend. We're not worried about it. We're not paying our rent. They're saying that within 3 months of this eviction moratorium being lifted, 15% of the Black population, so if we're 14% of the population, 15% of that 14% will be homeless at our own fault. And, that's what's just like deflating to me. And yet our politicians ain't worried about it. Aunt Maxine, she's sitting in her $6 million mansion. She's not concerned whatsoever. People want to go play sports, which is fine, go live your life. But I think we have some serious issues coming down the pipe. And then as the time is ticking, and Andrew Yang said this, he said we had less than 12 years and our wealth is going to be gone. That was before the pandemic. Now, with 9 years before 2030, when we're going to be in a relevant class as far as voting, we're in trouble. And people are just acting like, hey, it's just another day. Hey, hot girl summer. Hey. And if that's what you want to do, go right on ahead and do that. Because a lot of us aren't going to be doing that. And, what can we do for you then? If we can't make a stance now as Black people, what about those grandchildren? If we don't make a stance now, you're talking about 9 years, we're going to be irrelevant politically. We're going to be irrelevant. What chance our children are going to have and our grandchildren are going to have? We have really, really got to get the right people in office. The midterms are right around the corner. The question is, what are you going to do?
So somebody actually made a comment about the guy that was killed by a family in Houston. So what happened was, it was a Hispanic family. It was 4 family members. They murdered a black man. I can't remember his name at this moment, but he lived in the neighborhood and he was on his way home, and they began to shoot at him. Now, what happened was, the 19-year-old of the family members, he had an ex-girlfriend that was doing stuff to his house, slashing his tires and just doing a whole bunch of stuff. Maybe she's mad they're not together, and she was doing it with a male friend of hers. And so they thought the black man, that was him, the guy and the girl, because they had the same car is what they're saying. It was a Charger. So he ended up crashing into a tree and he died. That was a case of mistaken identity from what they're saying. But the father and the uncle, they've escaped, so they are on the run. And the 19-year-old and the mom were arrested. The 19-year-old bailed out, and the mom is waiting to bail out. His bail was like $20,000, and the mama's bail was $30,000 for whatever reason. And so he's out of jail. But what makes me just wonder is, why is bail so low in Texas for murdering somebody? I don't get it.
They call it bail reform, and it's being pushed by County Commissioner Rodney Ellis. Bail reform should be for people that are locked up unjustly with misdemeanor crimes, not felony crimes. These people are out on 4 and 5 bails. We've had the discussion before if you've been here. You see what I'm saying? But to answer your question, those bails are low because the commissioner, with the judges that he donated to their campaigns to get them in office, has put the mandate on them. Do not make the bails high. So, the thing is, if you go get caught up with a PPE loan, your bail might be $250,000. But if you murder your next door neighbor, your bail might be $30,000. It's a lot of people need to come out of politics in 2022, man. It's a lot of people don't know what the hell they doing, man. You see what I'm saying? And it's sickening to see it work the way that it work. We're not winning. People are losing their lives. And we sitting around here and we joking and eating crab legs every goddamn weekend. We ain't getting nothing done. Nothing done. When death knock on your door, you'll understand it.
I kind of sat here being in California. I sat here and I watched as I go, I troll YouTube a lot after being banned and stuff. So I had nothing else to do but be on YouTube. And I just saw everybody dancing and having a good time. And that's all good and great. But you just had a brother that was tortured in custody of the police in Baton Rouge. And I'm wondering, what are we dancing about? You still have the Andrew Brown situation. What are we dancing about? And we said this on the show for a couple of months ago. It's like we are so desensitized that we just go to the next tragedy, to the next tragedy, like this is normal. And it's not normal. They are murdering us wholesale, and we're dancing. And we're going on little vacations, and we're sororoing, and we're doing whatever we're doing.
You want me to answer that for you?
Yeah, please. I just don't get it.
These niggas crazy.
I mean, that's what it has to be. Either we are that mentally ill, because I don't see any other cultures do well. Of course, the other cultures are protected, but it's like you just can't rely on these people to push a bill through if you ain't even concerned to go up there and get in their face and make sure it gets done. But you got the new black media out here telling you about these people, telling you what's going on. We're putting in the work, but we need you guys to get involved as well, because a lot of you people that are eating the crawfish and all that other good food and going on your little vacations, you're benefiting for some of the work that we're doing.
These bills, Donovan, whether it was state level and I'm gonna use Texas as an example, or it was federal, they were never gonna do what they needed to do. Let's go back a few months. When the session first started in Texas, Senator Royce West had filed a bill in regards to the George Floyd Act. Remember, Senator West went and pulled his bill. He pulled his bill. Oh, I called Dr. Matthews. Oh, he's gonna put it back in. It never came back in. See, when he pulled his bill, he doomed the bill. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. See, that ain't no Republican pull that bill. That ain't no white person pull that bill. That is a black Texas legislator that pulled that bill. So when you do that on the state level, they looking at you at the federal level like you a joke. So y'all can't even get it passed at the state level. But you want us to do it on a federal level? Say, man, these people playing games. And folks like Royce West and a whole bunch more of them, it's time to send them to the pasture, man. It's time to get them out, because these donkeys will never run in the Kentucky Derby. It's time for them jackasses to go. Go hang out with Charlemagne.
Yeah, you know, and I just want to say this real quick. This is why you guys got to understand the difference between a Democratic operative, Jim Clyburn, and all these people, because look at their record. If they don't do anything for you, they speak for the Democratic Party. All of these, have you guys noticed that Black Girl Magic has turned into Black Girl Tragic? Look at all of these Black female politicians that the Democratic Party is just putting the boots to. These are Democratic operatives that don't speak for the Black community, and you've got to know the difference.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And, you know, there's so many, and I'm seeing people put different incidents that happened. And, you know, a white lady ran into two Black Lives Matter protesters, I guess it was, in New Jersey or North Carolina, it says, I'm sorry. Just a whole lot of things going on. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's going to continue. It's going to continue to go on until Black people wake up. There's not going to be a magic, you know, savior that descends from the sky or out of the woodwork somewhere and say, hey, I'm going to wave this wand now and make, you know, police brutality go away. And it's not even just police brutality. I did a story. Oh, gosh, St. Louis, Fredericktown, St. Louis. There's a 19-year-old who was found shot to death in the attic of a white man. A white man had a party for his daughter. Now this town is said to be 95% Black. And this particular Black boy, Durante is his name, went there with a couple of his friends, didn't really know the girl, and they found his body in the attic with a gunshot wound to his head. Now he was right-handed with a cast on his right hand, and the bullet was on his left temple. Y'all make that make sense, right? Right hand with a cast, full cast on his right arm, but he had a gunshot wound, and his mom said he's dominant on his right hand, right? So they found him, and they ruled it to be a suicide. Now, 4 days later, his friends brought his mother back his phone, and all of the text messages and all of the contacts in the phone were gone. Straight gone. It's also said that the man, his name is James, he's a racist, that he was known to have a Confederate flag waving from his porch. Also would post a whole lot of racist stuff on his Facebook page. One of the posts that he posted says his great grandfather had a Black man wrapped in chains known as his tractor or something like that. So basically he was saying the Black man wrapped in chains was his tractor, like his mule, to go out there and pick cotton. So things like that. So people knew this about that man, but yet this 19-year-old was partying at his house. And I'm like, and he's getting away with it. They're not even going to charge him for it. They're saying it's a suicide. Now, why are we, first of all, keeping company with people like that Why aren't we educating our children to say, hey, don't go party with the racists, stay away, the house with the Confederate flag on it. I don't care what they say, they not your friends, don't be over there. So the point that I'm making is and I'm not victim blaming or shaming, but until we as Black people wake up and really understand where we are, it's going to continue. Like I said, it's not even police officers that's doing it and getting away with it. It's everyday people. Like the killers of Ahmaud Arbery, they were completely getting away with it. It happened 2 or 3 months before we even heard about it. They just deemed it, oh, well, it was a good kill. He was robbing a house that wasn't even built until, one of those dumbasses, they released the video thinking that they was going to, go viral for killing a Black man, but it backfired on them. So until we wake up, is this going to be a normal thing for Black people?
I see Eric P's comment. They knew the pandemic caused murder rate in all cities to skyrocket. Brother Malcolm said 1,000 times, don't trust nobody information but y'all. So they say the pandemic caused the murder rate to go up. Nah, I don't believe that. I believe that your messed up school system with all the killers walking the streets now instead of being in the hallways is what makes your crime rate go up. That's what makes your crime rate go up. Say, man, we need to trust Dimitri. Don't listen to 5 Star. He crazy. Because at any given moment, I might be on that yak. At any given moment, I might be on that grape Ciroc. But Dimitri and Donovan, they pretty straight every night. You could trust them. Stop believing all them people with their information. And here's my thing to y'all that want to live in this diverse country. You're brainwashed into believing that we live in such a great country and, we should all get along. All this singing to us and we need to come together with everybody is designed to keep us off their ass. Because they already know if we get loose, they can't handle us. So they want you to be their friend. Well, goddamn. If I stuck you in the Garden of Eden, would you kick it with the snake? Would you listen to the snake? Say, man, some people are just who they are. And if your neighbor got a Confederate flag in his yard, I'd be damned if my kid's going anywhere near that. It's not going to happen. I have a real conversation for y'all every night. And the things that I say, I believe in. And I'm not going to backtrack on what I say. I ain't taking it back. Y'all need to wake up and understand that the smartest Negro watching this show sometimes is the dumbest because you're too smart for your own good. And you think that you got it all figured out. You're living out there in them suburbs, your kids going to that school that's performing well. And every night when you go to bed, you ain't nothing but a nigga. When you wake up in the mornings, you ain't nothing but a nigga. And I was a nigga. Until that nigga put that for sale sign in that yard and told him you can have this. I'm going back and hang out with the real niggas.
Yeah, the gentrification. I mean, if you look at what's been happening since 2007 or 8 when the initial crash happened, I look at our generation. We've seen so much shit that took over 100 years to do. Economy crashing, a pandemic, unlimited wars. I mean, whatever our parents and our grandparents went through, and even some of our great-grandparents, we've experienced all of that shit within a 30-year period, of just, being there. I mean, the next tragedy to the next tragedy. And here's my thing, though, you guys. Be one, of course, family, as you guys go out there. We voted this Biden administration in. They're going to talk about, well, if we don't vote Democrat, you're definitely not going to get nothing, and Trump might come back and, they'll use all these scare tactics. But how many of you guys are actually going to cape and vote for any of these parties? Because white supremacy is white supremacy, no matter how you look at it. Because remember, the Asian bill that went through within less than 100 days overwhelmingly passed the House and the Senate. Overwhelmingly. So, you know, both of these parties ain't about shit, at least when it pertains to black people. They're playing the game of hide the chess piece, whatever the deal is. I mean, how many of you guys are going to continue to do what you're doing?
I don't know if you see Michelle's comment. She say, there you go, bashing Democrats. It ain't bashing, he telling the truth. Biden ain't done shit. I mean, but cool. That's what y'all want him to do. Some of y'all cool with that. So I'm cool with it too. I'm cool with, but I'm gonna tell you something. I just want to give them fair warning, Donovan. I'm not finna bust my motherfucking head out here trying to save the world. I'm tired, man. It's some of y'all out there that got the same ability I got. And you expect for one man in this city, that city, that city, that city. Why y'all sit back and just reap the benefits of it and do stupid shit? Man, if y'all cool with what Biden doing to you, he can stick that whole dildo up your ass. I don't care.
The whole one?
With no grease.
Well, unfortunately, that's what's going on already. that's already happening. Just keep waiting for it, right? I mean, you know, sometimes I just get to the point. Like the other day, I was like, I'm ready to blow this joint for real. I'm ready to just go to somewhere else, like just because it is very discouraging.
Niggerism.
It's just like it's on you like a blanket, you know, and there's nothing you can do to shake it off, and you just wonder, like, are we really that lost as a people? Are we really, just like from everything that we see? It's just it becomes a lot sometimes, and you think, well, I can't be that smart. Like a lot of these things can't be that hard to follow, right? Vote for the Democrats for, you know, a long time. I haven't gotten anything. Not going to do it again, right? But no, you said, so I don't see the comment on here, but somebody's on here talking about why you keep bashing the Democrats. And it's like, oh my God, are you serious? Is it bashing or is it the truth? But why can't we as Black people decipher bashing from the truth? We want the truth to always be dressed up and pretty, and you know, and it's not.
Real quick, Demetra, we talk about the Democrats because overwhelmingly Black people vote Democrat. 83% of Black men voted Democrat last election. 93% of Black women voted Democrat.
But see,
it makes no sense.
They know that. We know that. They know that.
Right. It makes no sense to talk about a party that we don't really participate in.
Well, it's like beating a dead horse. We've said it a million times. They know it. It's not just coming from us. It's coming from a lot of people, but we just don't want to get it. And somehow, whoever that was, deduced everything we've said up until tonight as bashing the Democrats. Well, God damn it. Don't you think what the Democrats have been doing to you is bashing? Don't you think that's a bad thing? Do you, like, whoever it was, tell me one thing that you love that the Democrats have done specifically for Black people. See, this is the stuff that gets my blood pressure up.
We got Obamacare.
I'm talking about specifically for Black people. This is the stuff that gets my blood pressure up because you have the slow, and forgive me, but you got the willfully slow Negroes that won't get on here and say we bashing the Democrats, but the Democrats are doing everything for everybody else but Black people, and yet you more mad at us than you are at the Democrats for not giving you nothing. Like, how do you make that make sense?
Let's see this here. See, because I'm going to say this. School board is a nonpartisan race. right? Not supposed to be about Democrat, not supposed to be about Republican. You feel what I'm saying? So it's a nonpartisan race in the state of Texas. So let me ask you, Demetri, who you think I'm getting the most help from?
Republicans.
Where my Democrats at? Where they at? They mad because I done exposed them. They mad because I've been telling the truth about them. You see what I'm saying? If people want to keep believing that it's the Republicans screwing them, I can't tell you you're wrong. I can't tell you wrong. Do you think? I just know that I'm where you are, especially with Harris County. I'm where you are. I am sick of it. I have never been around so many idiots in my life to be surrounded by idiocy on a daily basis. And we keep screaming about white supremacy. Let's just call it what it needs to be. Let's talk about black supremacy. Because they running around with black hoods on their heads. They running around, they ain't burning no crosses in your yard. They ain't even giving you enough money to buy no gas to get no goddamn, to burn nothing. But as long as you get them $3,000 in food stamps, you good. Let's talk about black supremacy, because that's the problem.
Yeah, I just put in the comments, we are so big on Negroism and thoughtism. That's what's ruling our communities, all of these things. Now, if you want to do all that, that's good and great. But where is the lie that we keep telling you guys about? I love the way people want to point us out or me out on my show. But why would you get mad at me? Because I'm showing you a 30-year record of Maxine Waters' public record, and there's nothing in there specifically for black people. Why are you mad at me? I'm just the messenger.
Hey, Joanne Richardson said, what have the Republicans done for blacks? I vote for individuals whom I research. I agree they ain't done shit for black people. So what have the Democrats done for them? If you can't answer that, I'm going to take the rest of the week off. I promise you I am. You will not see me until next week. Answer the question.
Well,
the Republicans ain't done nothing for black people.
Well,
yeah. So what have the Democrats done?
Yeah.
If you can't tell me what they've done, I'm done the rest of the week, because I'm sick of hearing this politics shit when I'm dealing with these folk that don't get it.
Yeah, well, Foxar, let me ask you this. It's irrelevant what the Republican Party does for black people, because the Democratic Party is supposed to be for the working man and the blue collar man and the civil rights people and all that other stuff. That's the issue. I hate when people deflect and they say, what's Republican? It doesn't matter what they've done. The Democrat Party is supposed to represent and do for black people, correct?
Yeah, but because the Republicans ain't did nothing for black people, then we cool with the Democrats not doing nothing for them. But the Democrats are the ones that represent you. I'm confused, and I ain't got no answer to my question, so I'm gonna wait till the end of the show. Y'all won't see me till next week.
Lord have mercy. Lord. Let me see here. Y'all see this? I'm very close to getting the one-way ticket out of this mug, okay? Woo! Michelle Henderson, because I wasn't on the same post, and so I went. And how you doing, by the way? You say, yes, it's bashing when you keep pointing a finger at one group. Then you said that nobody is mad at you, boo-boo. And then you said you get help from me. And I know you said them, so I don't know if you're talking about me or the Democrats. Then you said Republicans burn crosses, though. And I'm like, is you serious? Donovan, is that a real person? Is it a real person, or is it a troll? Is it a
yeah, I don't think so, because
she's real. That's my friend. She graduated with me.
From where? Acme Academy? Because I know you went to Jack Yates. Did she go to Acme Academy?
She might have went to George Floyd High School. She graduated with me. She's very opinionated.
Yeah. The Democrats are a bastion of the Ku Klux Klan. If you go to the 60s, the Mississippi burning, did you ever see that movie? There are no Ku Klux Klan members, at least, well, there are now, but back in those days, that was, to be a Democrat, you had to be a Klansman if you wanted to do anything in Democratic parties, and they were the ones burning crosses in people's yards and stuff from 1930 or 1920 up until the 1970s and even in the early 80s. So where's she getting her information?
So we're not being punked like Ashton. This is not Ashton Kutcher or somebody posing as machine. This can't be, and sometimes like I get to the point to where like I'm just not gonna dignify certain things, just like let it go. But then somebody is in the because I saw somebody like one of her comments, and so just when I'm like, you know what, Demetra, let it go. Then I'm like, no, don't let it go because she's influencing somebody. Because and no shade to Michelle, but you're very uneducated. And so somebody believes everything that you're saying. And it's always the most uneducated people that are just loud and wrong. The Republicans burn crosses. Like, do you know any history? I impress upon you to Google it. If you think that just the Republicans are burning crosses, as Donovan said, that started with the Democrats. So, I mean, wow. I'm just blown away by, and you said y'all went to the same, y'all graduated the same year?
That's my classmate.
So this is not a kid. This is somebody who's could read and Google. And I'm like, with all this Google out here, we still running around here ignorant? How?
Yes, the Democratic Party fought the Civil War to make sure slavery continues. At the end of slavery, Bedford Forrest, a Southern general, created the Ku Klux Klan. President Woodrow Wilson codified the Klan by saying the movie, whatever that movie was, it was true. The Birth of a Nation was true. To get a job in the federal government in the 1920s, you had basically to be a member of the Klan, so on and so on and so forth. I mean, you could Google all of this. I'm not no genius. It's just stuff that you should just basically know, especially as a black, at least the basics of it. The Democratic Party, wasn't that the party that fought against civil rights in the 1960s? Wasn't that the party that was absolutely not Martin Luther King and all this other stuff that they were saying? Now, is it feasible that the Democratic Party could be a detriment to black people? Because if you look at their history from the time of the Civil War until now, they don't seem to be really up to the black person task and doing for black people. It seems like they're consistent in their oppression and their opposition to black people. I mean, what do you think, Demetra?
Wait, hold on. I'm seeing Michelle's comment. She says, stop the name calling and move on because you won't like it when I start calling names. I'm very good at it. You know what? You can call me any name in the book, but one thing you will never be able to do is call me stupid.
Lori Dunn has a comment. They want you to cross over and do this, do just that. They winning, Republicans winning regardless. They want you to cross over. So do they want you to cross over with the intentions of screwing you? Or you cross over and you become them, you start living like them, making money like them? Don't say it can't happen because ain't none of y'all never did it. But you would rather stay over here with these people who ain't doing nothing for you. Nothing. We need to stay over here and hang out with them. Chase your stimulus. I'm going to chase the bag. I'm going to kick it with my Republican homies.
And you know what? I'm nonpartisan, but a large part of me wants the Republicans to run it all. You know why I want them back in power? Yes, I'm going to go on record and say it. Because and matter of fact, I wouldn't mind if Trump came back. Not because I like him, but because he's gonna wake you sleepy Negroes up. That's why he needs to come back and do make your worst nightmares come true. So you'll wake up, because what happened was when Biden and Kamala got in that White House, they rocked y'all sleepy asses into a deeper sleep. And here you guys are, not only y'all, but y'all know who I'm talking about. I ain't gonna say her name, Michelle, on here talking about the Democrats are our friends and y'all bashing the Democrats. But the Democrats did everything for everybody else but you. And still, you find the nerve to dust off your cape and put it on for the Democrats who have continuously thumbed their nose at you as a black woman. Have done nothing. They use black women. They use black women to do nothing for black people, and you still will show your face and speak up in favor of a party who has done nothing but kicked you in your ass with chucks and pearls on. Like, how do you do it? Like, whatever it is you're drinking or smoking, either cut it in half or share it so the rest of us can be on the same level you are on, because I just don't understand it.
They got them under a spell. They can't see it. You know, you keep dwelling on the Republicans, but the Democrats are who represent you. So I'm going to put it a different way for y'all that's in the projects that may not understand all these big words and all this political rhetoric. You ready? Here we go. You laying around the house with your man and he won't give you none. He putting you through pure hell. He can't pay no bills. He ain't doing nothing for you. But that dude across the street, single, say, I'm ready to rock with you. Come on. It ain't going to be easy, but at least you'll be in a better situation. But you know what you do? You stay over there with your abuser. The Democratic Party is an abusive relationship. They're continuously beating us up. We can't make any inroads to anything. But I have so many people saying, no, we shouldn't. We need to. For what? For what? I'm not understanding that. But see, me, I'm the dude. See, Kunta wouldn't have had nothing on me in slavery. I'd have been running every night. They would have just had to chain me up. Either kill me or just chain me up. Because as soon as you unlock the chains, I'm running. You can have a bull whip out, everything, I'm gone. But y'all like this abusive relationship. You like living in a community that's overran by violence. You like living in a community where your schools are failing and your roads are raggedy. You like living in a community where you ain't got a quality grocery store. You good with that. Because guess what you do? You get in your car. You take your child to that Republican neighborhood so they can get a quality education. You get your black ass in your car and you drive to the Republican neighborhood to get you some fresh vegetables. You understand what I'm saying, my brothers and sisters? And then you're comfortable when you're riding on them Republican streets. So when you finish, take your good Democratic broke down ass home and reflect on the fact that they done hit you with 9 inches of limp dick.
All I got to say is preach, because you ain't lying. They vote for those Democrats who do nothing for black people. And then, like you said, they'll watch you sit their ass over to the white neighborhood and get those benefits instead of voting in quality people where they stay. We could just end the night with that.
Hold on. But I said it, and it was so profound. You live in a Democratic neighborhood, but you bust your child to a Republican neighborhood to get a quality education. You live in a Democratic neighborhood, but you shop for your groceries in a Republican neighborhood. And I'm the crazy motherfucker.
Well, with that said, I think that was a nice way to end the show. And I'd like to say my final words is today is $2 Tuesday. if you feel up to it and got a couple of bucks, hit that Cash App, Jerry Monroe, Cash App, and we are going to get our candidate into the school district that's going to make a difference. And we're going to show you what a person who gives a damn about our kids can do in our school districts.
I'm going to end it with this here. I got to represent Democratic children. I got to represent Republican children, special ed children, black children, white children, and I'm going to give them everything I got. Because I don't play them games, man. But I also know I know how to work on both sides of that aisle. So I know how to deal with Republicans the same way I know how to deal with Democrats. Y'all need to get your head out your ass because you're not making sense. I'm going to say it to you again. What it feel like when Gary Monroe would get up at 5:30 every morning out in Fresno, Texas, and take his black children to the poor community to go to the same school he went to. But the bulk of y'all wake up every morning bringing your kids to them bus stops at 5:30 in the fucking morning to send them to a Republican neighborhood. And you got the audacity to disrespect them. They ought to shut their motherfucking schools down and keep your little nigger babies on your side of town. I'm done for the night.
And you know, like I said, I co-sign everything you just said. You know what, y'all? They don't even realize they doing it. They don't realize that they putting on their capes and stringing it up tight around their neck and going and big up in the Democrats have done nothing for them and won't even do business in their own neighborhoods. Like you said, they probably all at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and, you know, all the nice grocery stores. But stay over there in your part of town where you are voting for these people who do nothing for you. Gary, where you was at this weekend, what kind of political representation do they have over there?
I was Democratic.
Democrats, and what's going on over there? Like, tell the people, because I'm not familiar with it, but tell them.
They got rats jumping out the ceiling. Mold every goddamn well. City council lady showed up. She walked the apartments. And I will say that she been on their ass ever since she walked them. She been on their ass. But I want y'all to remember this. Where Al at? Where Al at? He right there? Tell Al, I'm going to say a joke. It probably won't be funny. What you broke ass Democrats feel like when you over there in that Republican Galleria? What you feel like when you in there spending your money with them Republicans? Huh? Huh, nigga? Oh, nigga, what you gonna say when freedom come your way? You know, when you out there taking them pictures at them steakhouses in the Republican neighborhood. Nigga, go take you a motherfucking picture in front of Popeyes with South Park shouting. Stop going to their neighborhoods. Stop going to their neighborhoods. I'm being straight up. I'm on fire right now because they don't even realize that's what they doing. But if it wouldn't be for them, a whole bunch of your little nigga kids wouldn't have got what you call a quality education. With your magnet program that was created during the Jim Crow era, but you don't even have a clue. That's why I say you're not as smart as you portray. So take your ass over there to their neighborhood and keep spending your Democratic dollars in their Republican businesses. Donovan?
I just have to say ditto on that. Just ditto, ditto, ditto. I mean, like I said, insanity. I think that we need to get a lot of more mental health issues within the Black community. And it just doesn't make any sense how we are the party that got this administration into office, and yet everybody else got something and we got nothing. That's like letting your child go on a field trip and everybody, you know, gets a toy or something from the field trip and your child didn't get nothing, but you the first parent down there ready to kick some ass and talking about racism and all this other stuff because your child didn't get a toy. It's the same thing. We just want what we are owed and what is fair. We got you in the office. We need you to do our Black agenda. There's no excuses because you own all three parts of government. And that's all we're saying. But as they continue to murder us wholesale, you've got some Negroes out there that are perfectly cool with it.
Address this comment from Richard Holland. And I'm going to read it to y'all. Hey, y'all talking about the Democrats and these Republicans. No, we need to start with these fake activists, these pastors that's getting rich off the community, these activists taking people money. We need to start at the bottom and go up. You can't get to the top of the ladder without putting your foot on the first step. Enough is enough. Hey, I watch your show 5-star. You got skeletons in your closet too, brother. I myself personally know you took money from Mr. Falwell and did nothing. I read your comment, nigga, for a reason. I'm easy to find. Everybody know where I be. Matter of fact, you can locate me at 3750 Alabama. June 12th, nigga, come say that shit in my face. See, what you need to do is stay in your lane, sucker. Because the one thing I ain't never had to do was walk around here and put my head on a swivel about no money. I've done my job, and fuck you and him. And that's how I feel. Fake ass activists. Was that a fake activist out there this weekend with $20,000 worth of clothes, giving it to kids because they needed it? Did I ask anybody for anything? No, you know what it is? You wish you could be the fake activist. Sit your $5 ass down before I make change, clown. Until tomorrow night, y'all, we gonna holler at y'all. And it's the war zone. Get your motherfucking mind right before you come around here. Because we don't play like that.